Hello everyone, Overlord21 here, and I have another Godzilla Destroyer Monsters Melee tutorial. Only 3 left to go. It'll be on this bad boy right here, Destoroyah, the scary looking dude. We will talk about his punches, his kicks, his fierce buttons, his weapon attacks. Okay, there we go. And any other unique attributes he has, his jumps, grab, throws, all the good stuff. If you've seen the other tutorials, you'll definitely know the drill by now. Let's start with his punches. We have jab, string, which ends like that. It's okay, it exists. It's just like a quick option for him to have. Not super exceptional, but it's not horrible either. It's a move that you may use on occasion, but don't worry too much about using it. It's not that great. You'll definitely use his directional attacks a lot more. We have down punch, an uppercut, which sends your opponent flying through the stratosphere. The good thing about it is that it launches your opponent into the air, and while it's not great on block, as you can see here, it's also good for catching your opponent out if they're jumping. Like this, it'll still catch them in the air. So it is useful for that. And with rage, it does even more damage and sends them even flying further. So if you're in rage mode, while you use down punch, you can do a lot of damage with it. Now let's talk about the next. Down punch is okay. It's okay. Not my favorite move, but it's far from horrible. I'd say it's definitely one of his better punches though, because his others do not impress me. He does not have enough punch, that's good to know. Now let's talk about back punch. Overhead slam. Like many other overheads, it hits people on the ground. So whenever you knock Godzilla down to the ground, one of your options is this move. It has a decent amount of range, but it's very slow. And it's not great on block either. I pressed the wrong button for Godzilla to punish there. But you can definitely use back punch for knocking your opponent down on OTG, but he does have better buttons for that, so there's a reason I don't use it very much. And for his final punch, we have forward punch. That bad boy knocks people down as well, but keep in mind that just like the other directional inputs, it's not safe on blocks, so keep that in mind. But it is good for spacing and that sort of thing, so keep that in mind. Good for the spacing. Also, while we're here, and since the rage power-up is right in front of my face, I'm going to activate his rage attack. This is his rage attack. You press A and X at the same time, and it launches a mortar from the heavens. It will utterly annihilate your opponents. The only characters that can really dodge that is Megalon with Burrow. Rodan can fly away from it. Mecha King Ghidorah can just straight up absorb it. It's a very good rage attack because of its damage and the fact that against like 90% of the cast, it's pretty much a guaranteed hit. But just keep in mind the few characters that can avoid it, and well, one of the top tiers just straight up absorbs it with his shield, so just keep that in mind. But rage is very useful for Destoroyah as well. It's very good. I like rage. I like rage in general, but Destoroyah also benefits from it quite a lot. Especially since it makes this already powerful beam game even stronger. But yeah, punches, not super amazing, but not horrible. They're not the highlight of this kit, but they're definitely useful but they definitely have a purpose. They serve a role. Now let's talk about his kicks. We have his kick string, which is just 2 kicks. Probably his worst neutral buttons, because their range is pretty bad. Like, jab has much better range, and is faster than the kicks. The only reason you use the kicks is slightly more damage than the jabs, I think. Let's see. Did that much? Yeah, the kicks do slightly more, but they're slower. They're definitely not buttons I would recommend using. They're just kind of there. Probably some of his worst buttons, if I'm being honest. Now we have... Okay, no back kick. We have forward kick. This is like one of his quicker kick options. You use it to hit people from a good distance, but it doesn't knock them to the ground, so that is something important to keep in mind. Unless they're Rodan, but Rodan's very flimsy, so you'll always get knocked down by it. It's an okay move. I like how far it reaches, but it's not the quickest move in the universe, and it can be punished on blocks, so keep that in mind. Just be careful about using it on block like that. We also have his down kick. It's a toe stub move like everything else. Like most other characters' down kicks, it's a toe stub. And toe stubs are very useful. Definitely make use of down kick if you can. Like your opponent uses an extremely punishable move. Hold on, let me see if I can... Yeah, theoretically, when your opponent uses a super slow move on block, you can punish them with a down kick so you can get a free toe stub and then start blasting them to oblivion. Toe stubs are very powerful in this game, so try to get them whenever you can. Some characters do it easier than others, like Megalon. Although Destoroyah doesn't necessarily need the toe stubs, just simply because he has very strong, powerful buttons in general that do a ridiculous amounts of damage. But yeah, you definitely want to... Down kick's definitely one of my favorite kicks from him. And now we have up kick as the final one. It does solid damage. It got decent amount of range. But like most of the other buttons, it's not great on block. But another useful thing about it is it will catch people jumping in the air. It will catch people that are jumping in the air. Just like what down punch and back punch are capable of. It also does the exact same thing. Definitely make use of it. You'll definitely... There's like, make use of... It's not as useful as down kick, I would say, just simply because the reward off of down kick is much more significant than what up kick provides on its own. But there's no harm in using it for like hedging out your opponent's aerial attempts or lows they might throw out, because it does go over lows. So definitely keep that in mind. Overall, his kicks are not great. Definitely down kick and up kick are his best buttons from there. And forward kick can be useful on occasion, just simply because its range is pretty good. But it is, again, fairly situational. Definitely keep that in mind. Now let's talk about his crown. Now let's talk about some of my favorite buttons of his. His fierce buttons. We have probably his worst one, which is his neutral. Now, an important thing to note about the horn katanas is that they're considered a weapon attack. So even if your opponent blocks it, it still does damage. It just won't do as much damage, as you can see. But it'll still do damage, and it will use up your energy, so keep that in mind. This is for every single one of his fierce attacks, except for back fierce. Back fierce doesn't use the horn, so therefore it does not use up energy. So if you use these horn attacks, you're going to make sure they hit them, so then you get your energy's worth out of them. Now we have probably one of my favorite energy attacks, one of my favorite fierce buttons of his. We have up fierce. Now this bad boy is something the AI itself actually uses a lot. And it's for good reason. It has good range. Look at how ridiculous its range is. I hit him from all the way over there. It's ridiculous. It does use up a fair amount of energy, so you can't really spam it. But it also hits your opponent on the ground, as you saw there. Definitely make use of up fierce. This move catches out aerial attacks as well. It catches out people that are flying around in the air. So if your opponent jumps to like get away from your jabs or your grounded options, you can still hit them with this afterwards. And even if they block it, they still get stunned from it. But keep in mind that if your opponent blocks your fierce attack options, they won't be knocked down to the ground, so be careful about that. We also have his back fierce, which he turns around and hits his tail from behind. Also, if you're behind your opponent... Okay, yeah, that apparently hits. But yeah, if you're directly behind your opponent, you press the fierce button, it does a turnaround attack. That's specific to Destoroyah. It's also the same thing that like what the Godzillas have, what Ghidorah has. It's just kind of a whole turnaround attack thing that pretty much every monster in this game has. Does good damage, knocks people to the ground. Back fierce is a similar situation as well. The biggest problem with it is it's not very fast, and it's not good on... And like, it's okay on block just simply because the distance that it covers is something that's hard for the opponent to punish. I'd say it's probably like his third worst fierce button, because this one's probably his worst one, because it's slow and uses up a fair amount of energy. But it's not a bad button. It's just outclassed by up fierce and down fierce. Now let's talk about probably my second least favorite button. We have forward fierce. Oh, that's not it. This is forward fierce. As you can see there, this is a move that I see being used a lot. And while this move isn't bad in neutral, and can even hit your opponent on the ground depending on how big they are, but the problem it has is that it uses up a fair amount of energy, puts you in a slow animation like that, and if your opponent blocks it, they can punish you afterwards for using it, because not all 3 hits, because it's based on when the first hit strikes, which is usually the second hit of the attack, and the third one just doesn't register. So if you use the forward fierce on your opponent like that, they can punish you for it afterwards. So be careful about using forward fierce. Also, one more thing about the horn attacks. If you aim your head with the right stick, it actually changes the direction of where the horn attack goes. Let's see. So if you aim your head, like up, down, left, or right, it actually changes the direction of where the attack goes. It's not super useful, but it is very funny. It's just interesting that, there's just an... Well, I'm pretty sure it's not unintended, but it's more just kind of weird that him moving his head will actually affect the hitbox of the horn attack, so that is something to keep in mind. We also have down fierce. Now, the reason I like this move a lot is because 1, it hits people on the ground, and 2, see how little energy it actually uses. It uses significantly less energy than every other move in this kit. Oh yeah, you can also use the horn technique to aim down with the fierce button. See, like that. You can use it to help aim on the ground to hit people that would otherwise be impossible to hit, like Godzilla 90s here, for example. Just thought I'd mention that. Let's see. Thank you for the health. I appreciate Mr. UFO Man. Very appreciated. Let's see. I've already talked about up fierce, down fierce, forward fierce, which also does hit people on the ground if you hit it. But if your opponent's blocking it, they'll just get stunned for a second, but then they can punish you for doing that move afterwards. Then there's also back fierce, which is okay, with a turnaround fierce function. Overall, I do like his fierce buttons. Even the more mediocre ones are pretty strong buttons in themselves. They got good neutral capabilities, high damage, as you saw there. Also, all 3 to 4, basically 4 of them can actually hit people on the ground. Which, OTG game is very important for this, so being able to just hit them on the ground like that is very powerful. Now let's talk about 2 of Destoroyah's best buttons. We have his beam attack, which you could just charge that up. Now the crazy thing about his attack is that it's the same strength regardless of how much charge it has. So unlike how most monsters in this game work, but yeah. As you can see with Godzilla here, he charges up his beam a little bit, but he gets a fairly flimsy attack out of it. And then I'll wait for his full energy to charge up. But if he charges it up all the way, he gets a significantly stronger weapon attack out of it. Whereas Destoroyah, if you do the same thing with him, his beam stays relatively the same damage output. So with Destoroyah, same with Anguirus, you do not want to fully charge up your beam. Also, another important thing to note is that Destoroyah's beam can actually toast up people. I'm not pulling it off very well right now, just simply because my aiming's not great. But this beam attack can actually hit people and toast up them. But it's also like a very quick charge as well. And if you use the right trigger while you're charging your beam, it actually hits people in the air as well. So that's one of the reasons why Destoroyah versus Rodan is actually a good matchup for Destoroyah, is because this dude could just shoot Rodan out of the sky like he's nothing. It's a very powerful tool, definitely one of the best beam attacks in the game. Only really rivaled by the likes of the Ghidorahs, and that's because they have Flying Beam, which is just broken beyond believable comprehension. But yeah, definitely make use of his beam attack. It is very strong. It also has a decent amount of range. But keep in mind that if your opponent's at full tether range, it won't hit them on the ground. It won't hit them. So you definitely want to be within good range. You definitely want to be in the mid-range. Mid-range is where Destoroyah excels really well. So make sure you're within this range. Let's talk about one of his coup de grace. We have Orb. You just tap the beam button. You just tap it instead of charging it. And he shoots out a little orb that knocks your opponent down to the ground. And this is one of his best tools, period. Because it drags your opponent closer to him. And it's kind of hard for the opponent to dodge it. And even if they block it, you could still get a punish off of it. Hold on. I'll just move him up. Alright, we'll just block it. And even though he still blocked the orb, it took him out of his block, and I was able to punish him afterwards. So if your opponent's blocking a good amount, do not be afraid to use any of this dude's weapon attacks, because they are very useful for knocking people out of their blocks. He gives Destoroyah some of the best offensive pressure of any character in this game. It's one of the reasons why he's rated so highly in all the tier lists I've seen of him. Because while a lot of us disagree on quite a few things, I don't think a lot of people disagree on Destoroyah being very, very strong. He is absolutely bonkers in this game. And I'm going to let Godzilla finish him off so that we can get another round going. His weapon attacks are excellent, though. Destoroyah definitely has some of the best weapon attacks in the game. Make use of them. He has that energy bar. Make use of it. So now we will talk about his grabs. Which, the grab button's A and B. He has one of the best grabs in the game. It's pretty quick. It's got good range. And it leads to some very powerful throw options. What you saw there was normal throw. Probably his most underwhelming throw. It's definitely not a bad option because it's just quick and you can get it on your opponent's barrier. Get your opponent to the barrier. So you can bounce them off for a combo. But aside from that, it doesn't do the most damage, it's just kind of there. We also have his Fierce Throw, which he uses his tail to launch the opponent behind him. You'll see this move be used a lot every time I play as Destoroyah, because it does good damage. It launches your opponent back to the barrier if you position yourself correctly, and then you can get another hit off. It's very good for increasing that damage output that this character is known for. We also have his final throw, which is his kick throw. It does solid damage, and it basically creates a little orb effect that blasts your opponent outwards. But my biggest gripe with it is it uses up energy, and I bounce my opponent on the barrier anyway. And I generally like to save my energy for knocking out my opponent when they're on the ground. Because OTG game is basically one of Destoroyah's greatest strengths. It's better than just about everyone else's. It's honestly insane how good it is. Overall, he has a pretty good throw game. He has a good strong grab. He has very good throws in the form of his kick and his fierce throws. You'll definitely want to make use of both of those. Although I prefer his fierce throw just simply because it doesn't use energy. We also have his jump. He does not fly in this game, despite the fact that he has wings. Don't ask me why. He just doesn't. Now we have Jump Kick. Oh wait, that's Jump Fierce. Well, we have Jump Fierce. That's what I get for playing too many of these games at once. I get my buns all mixed up. But yeah, Jump Fierce. It's pretty quick. It's also a good anti-air tool. So if your opponent's like jumping around, or they're like the Ghidoras or Rodan, you can basically intercept them with this move. It does good damage on its own as well. Very solid jump option. You'll see me use it a lot, because it is a very useful part of Destoroyah's kit. Make good use of it. We also have Jump Kick, which he jumps up and hits them with the big old feet of his. Big old spiky feet. It does good damage. It hits people pretty hard. It's like a slower alternative to the Jump Fierce button, but it can also be used as like a whiff punish tool. Or you can use it in like combos, because while the other move is better for anti-air purposes, Jump Kick I find tends to hit better for combos than Jump Fierce does, so you'll definitely want to use it in your combos and that sort of thing. Whenever you bounce your opponent on barriers, you'll definitely want to use it for that. By the way, neither of them are great on blocks, so keep that in mind. Same with Jump Punch. But Jump Punch is one of the reasons why his on-the-ground game is so oppressive. Because it does good damage, it also hits your opponent on the ground. You can see that Godzilla's HP is just getting absolutely deleted by just using this move like 3 times. It is ridiculously high damage for what it can do. It's definitely one of his best OTG options for sure. You'll want to use it to hit people on the ground and basically just delete HP like they're nothing. That's what makes him very scary. Because if he did not have this move, it wouldn't be an enabler for one of his best combos. Which is, we'll get to that in just a moment, but I want to finish him off using Godzilla. One of the weaknesses of Destoroyah, as you can tell here, is the dude is massive. He will get hit by everything. It's one of the reasons why in those tournament footage you saw of me playing the Giganator, it's why I was able to do a lot of damage to Destoroyah, is because, one, the character's huge. 2, he doesn't have any resistances like the top tiers do. The other top tiers do, so basically every move you do to him does extra damage. Let's see. Now we will talk about his combos. One of the combos that I like doing a lot with him. You can start out with a toe stub move if you can get it. Up punch. Move up to your opponent. Tap orb. Jump punch. Orb. And then jump punch. You can also do orb again. The good thing about the orb here is that even if your opponent tries to roll away, you can still catch them out with the orb itself. It is very brutal on that front. It's one of the reasons why in my footage, if you see me use Destoroyah, I love using orb and jump punch a lot, because it's just a nice, reliable way of getting good damage going. And it does a lot of damage too. Very destructive OTG game. What you can also do is like back punch into up punch. You can also do like horn attacks like that. You can also use down horn as well. The biggest problem with down fierce, down X, is that it doesn't have a great hitbox to the right, to the left of him. So if your opponent rolls to his left, like that, then it'll just whiff him completely. So keep that in mind. But yeah. This dude's whole thing is using his breath attacks, using his orbs to get neutral, knock his opponent down to the ground, and then punish them with his huge plethora of moves that hit on the ground very hard. They're more blunt oriented, so against King Ghidorah the damage will be kind of wonky. And as well as Orga, it'll be kind of wonky on them. But you also have your horn attacks, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just more of something to keep in mind. But yeah, what are Destoroyah's problems? Well, he's big. He's very, very big. Like, if you knock him down on the ground, you can hit him with just about anything, really. Oh, Wrong direction, Mr. Godzilla. Come on. You can do that. Whenever you knock him down to the ground with any of your buttons, really, the dude just he just really does not take damage very well. Like, he's not particularly weak, like, health-wise, like in the same way someone like Rodan or Megalon are. But thanks to how big he is, if you hit him down on the ground, and you use a move that hits people on the ground, there's good odds you will catch Destoroyah out. So, while Destoroyah is very good at knocking people on the ground and winning in neutral and doing that sort of stuff in general, if he's in disadvantage, it's very painful for him, because it just means he loses a lot of HP pretty quickly. Just simply because of the fast, destructive nature of how this game is, especially compared to its sequel. Its sequel's a lot slower paced on that front, but I consider it more of a different experience rather than it being straight up inferior. I don't see it that way. But yeah, Destoroyah is pretty ridiculous. There's a reason I rate him extremely high in this game. Now, I don't think he's the best character in the game, just simply because there's characters that can, 1, out-neutral him, 2, whenever this guy gets knocked down to the ground, he just does not have a good time. Speaking of which, I almost forgot. We have his get-up attacks. We have this one, when he's laying down on the ground. The best thing about it is that it has an active hitbox the moment you press the button, but the problem with it is that if your opponent can just block it and then punish you pretty hard afterwards. So that's another reason why Destoroyah's OTG game is not very good. It's just simply because the, let's see, oh, I wanted to, okay, hold on, how about we do this, so we can show off the other get-up attack. This one's a bit slower on hitting the opponent, which can be good for juking them out. Because they're like, oh, he's going to use his belly up get-up attack. And it's like, nope, he's using his face down one, and that one has a different hitbox. It's a bit safer compared to the other get-up attack, but they're both equally bad on block. So if your opponent's just blocking, they can just block the attack and punish you pretty hard for it. So be careful about OTG. Although that's just kind of how basically every single character is in this game. If your opponent blocks the get-up attack, they can punish you pretty hard for it. Especially with things like grabs and that sort of whole thing. But yeah, my thoughts on Destoroyah? Top tier character. He has wonderfully strong buttons that are great on neutral. He has strong weapon attacks that go through opponent's block and does ridiculous damage. He takes advantage of some of the strongest mechanics in the game to make himself utterly absurd. There's a reason this guy is usually rated number 1, if not number 2. I only have him ranked as 3rd just simply because I think the Ghidorahs are more ridiculous than he is. But his OTG game is stronger than the both of them combined, so I can see why people would prefer him over everything else. Yeah, you got... Yeah, big thing about Destoroyah is if your opponent's on the ground, hit them with down kick, hit them with back punch, hit them with jump punch, hit them with the horn, with up fierce, down kick, orb and beam. Those both work on the ground as well. Definitely make use of both of those. Dude is ridiculous. He is very powerful, and if you know how to use him well, you can basically turn any hard AI in the game into basically cannon fodder. He is ridiculous. He's not easy mode in the same way like Mecha King Ghidorah can be, just simply because he doesn't have as strong defensive options, but his offense is ridiculous. Definitely make use of his offense. No reason not to. Anyway, that'll be it for now on this tutorial. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention his dash punch, but his dash punch is honestly really bad. Don't ever make use of it. It whiffs most of the time. Don't make use of it. Anyway, that should be it for now on this video. You all have a wonderful day now. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. You take care now, and I'll see you next time. Peace, and goodbye.